4, 3, 2, 1. Fragments of Silicon, where we generally don't give trophies just for participation.
Sometimes I wonder what you read before you start.
I think that started as a politics thing and just kind of morphed.
Well, yeah, it's
know.
a politics thing, but that's not
We'll
the
be
show.
getting into that in an hour.
Yeah.
Well, more than
Sorry,
that.
I know it's not the best, but I don't always come up with my best stuff.
That aside, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon, the Alpha episode. Yeah, we had another European interview this week. Joining me, as always, are, well, the crew. Petty Fan,
Yo.
Ogre,
I forgot Alpha was involved in that whole Omega storyline for a bit.
Twilight,
Hello.
and Galax.
I am indeed here.
Anyway, well, let's get to the news. Galax, why don't you start us off for the week?
It's been kind of warm and humid coming off of the hurricane-based rain stuff, so that's hasn't been a whole ton of fun. Other than that, not a whole ton going on coming out into almost the beginning of October now. I am going to try to play some of the games for review this week a little later today. I didn't have a chance to earlier, and other than that, mostly for video games that I've actually been having time to play is Metroid: Samus Returns, which I'm in the endish game of. I got all of the major power-ups except for the power bomb, so I figure I'm pretty close to the end aside from the post-game stuff. Yeah, I haven't had as much time to play video games as I want to, which is always a little bit annoying, but you know, that's just how life is, I guess.
Right. Twilight?
Well, it's also been hot and humid over here in the past few days, and it hasn't been too bad though. Well, since we're getting near October, tourism is picking up over here since our autumn-related festivals are going to be around pretty soon. And besides that, been playing games for the show, and that's about it. Not much going on this past week.
Alright, Ogre?
I don't know how to say it, but we finally beat Hallercanassus last week. And goddamn, were we so happy. I screamed so loud I woke up my mom. I'm pretty sure my dad pooped himself, and I think the cat ran away for a few hours.
That's how you do it.
Which makes all kinds of sense, because I think we were on that for, what, 2 months or something like that?
Yeah.
So, yay for that. In fact, we did all of 1 through 3 yesterday. Petty stole every fucking thing from me, but I'm not bitter about that at all.
Hey, to be fair, at least one of those you already had.
No, you actually got both the accessories already had, so
Yeah.
not like I was missing out on those. It was the hands and the twine that kind of grinded my gears there for a bit, but whatever. I'm still I-35 now, 335, so
Now, this is a raid, or is it like a whole area, or what?
it's a raid.
Yeah, we're doing
Series of
Omega.
raids. Anyway, outside of that, recordings are going fine. Doing a small one before another big thing, and I don't know. We're kind of I think after Color Splash, we're kind of at the seat of our pants kind of thing. And also on Monday, my car got a flat tire.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah,
Mm.
the right front tire that has been slowly leaking for the past couple years just finally decided fuck it and had a big old hole ripped into it. So had to not
Yikes.
only had to not, which is hilarious because I actually drove to Naka's on that tire perfectly fine, started driving back, and after so long I just heard rubber, 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 and I was like, oh, yep, that's a flat tire.
And then it's like,
Pulled off
damn
to a
it.
pulled off to a side road, and we had to get the car towed to a mechanic's and get that all sorted out, which it did, so.
Mm.
It's not
There
like
was no like
without-
damage to the wheel, was there? It was just the
No,
tire was
there-
flat.
There was no damage to the rim or anything, but the wheel was pretty much lost because it just had a hole. It just had a hole ripped into it, so
Yeah.
it was pretty much DOA, which is kind of fine with me to get a new tire on that one because that tire has been just shit for years now. So
Yeah, the tires
fact
are
that-
easy to replace now. If you damage the wheel itself, that's costly.
yeah, trust me. When I heard the crumble of the rubber on the road, my first instinct was pull over as soon as I can and just
Yeah.
park it because that is a dead tire. And further on that, and I just rip it apart, and the rim just goes crazy.
Yeah.
Did you have to get it towed, or?
Had to get it towed. I was out of town. I was in the town that Naka lives in, but not the town I was in, so it had to get towed to a mechanic in our town. Had to get that fixed and everything, which is fun to do at the dead of night and everything.
Oh dear.
Bet that
Well, it was
cost
like-
a pretty penny.
Well, I'm assuming the insurance covered it, and
Hmm.
the mechanic is actually a pretty decent guy, so we got it for like $90 for the repair and everything.
Nifty.
So, other than that, everything's been a-okay except for that moment because that fucking pissed me off. But everybody's got to have car troubles eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for me. Now on to the hand-stealing bitch tank.
I am guessing that's me.
I'm not bitter.
I'd let you have it if I could, but I can't, so you're gonna have to live with it.
I'm not bitter.
Oh, not a whole lot to report on my end. I just tried to fire up my PSP a little bit ago, and I found its battery doesn't work. So I have no clue how much that's going to cost to replace, but
How old of a thing is this? It's got to be quite a
it's-
while because it's a
it's the-
PSP.
it's a PSP 3000, so... And I got mine used, so your best guess.
So pretty new for a PSP, but that's not saying much.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think the batteries are too expensive, so it's more of a track one down that's not, you know, a piece of crap.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I imagine I can probably find one. It's just, I need to be bothered to look. And at least if I really want to play PSP games, I still have the battery from my 1000 that will fit in the connector. I just need to hold the back of the PSP to keep the battery in.
Are they? So they're the same. They're different, like physical casings, but they have the same connector.
They're
or?
different. They're different physical sizes. The PSP 1000 battery is thicker, like almost twice the size of the 3000 itself.
Ah,
So yeah. And the way it's shaped, I can't just put the back of my 1000 battery door on there and call it good, because again, different physical shape.
right.
So aside from that, not a whole lot's been going on.
Right.
Except for
So-
stealing my hand pieces. Not bitter. Not fucking bitter.
All right, you can settle that dispute in gladiatorial combat later.
Oh, don't know how
Anyway.
Paladin versus Dark Knight would work.
Poorly
I'm
for
like-
you.
Right.
Anyway,
Right. I guess it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Well, I'm pleased to say that Fragments of Silicon is about as up to date on things as it's going to. Like, I mean, there's no force that's going to get us back that lost recording week, but we're all caught up on reviews. Guest situations have all been resolved, that kind of thing. So it's regular order once again. Back to our
Yay.
normal schedule. We're back to we're back to our normal interview schedule and so on and so forth. Now, thankfully, it didn't take that much to get things straightened. Let's see, doing a thing in a couple of days that I can't talk about for reasons, but it's something I've been building up towards for months. Let's just say that. And I think that's about it as far as my news goes.
Adam, we told you you can tell us when you're going to start the revolution.
Yeah, but I don't want them to know that.
Fair enough.
Anyway, getting back on track here, you'll note we don't have a guest. That's more to do to the guest itself than anything to do with like Irma or anything. The guests we had slated, they were from Japan, so timing issues were a factor. Were the factor. We could not agree on a good date and time to have them on the broadcast, either now or later. So, and mentioning last week, Bandai Namco, they're sending a new guy. We're having them next week. So, and there wasn't enough time to seek out anybody new. So here we are with 2 topics for the price of 1.
It's
And
double
we're
the value.
Yes. Like, it's the reason why we could never get rid of the topic of discussion even if we wanted to, because sometimes guest plans don't work out as you expect, and you have to have a fallback. This is our fallback. Like, so it's a bit of an odd mixture if you can see the header. We're talking about NBA 2K18. That should be a tip-off that this game is... I hesitate to use the word extraordinary because actually, from what I understand, as far as sports games go, this is kind of a magnification of what's been going on in this sector for a while. But this installment's just kind of the one that blew up. And it's significant if we're talking about a fucking sports game. Because none of us really do sports games.
Yeah.
We do not care about the sports ball.
I think I'm the only one here who's really cared about sports, and that's just NFL.
Well, it's like, especially like something like an NBA 2K release.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't for the video games, but I'm legally required as a resident of New England to be at least vaguely conversant in local sports teams.
Yeah, Boston Celtics.
I'm pretty much in on baseball anytime, so.
Yeah, but I'm that's the sport itself. The video games, does anyone here play FIFA, Madden, what have you?
No, because if I want to do sports stuff, I can just go watch the game.
I had a baseball game on the N64 once.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot of baseball games, but then it kind of, after you don't have anyone to play with for so long, just kind of like, eh.
Yeah. Like, I think I had one of the old Genesis football games. I think it was, like, before Madden.
Okay, the overall point is we don't really buy or play sports games.
Yeah.
So
not no more.
Yeah.
Thank you for that grammatical nightmare.
Not no more is no man's.
Okay, strong
Anyway, getting back on track here, the point is we don't really buy sports games, least of which NBA games. So the Fuhrer's been really intense if it's reaching our shores.
Yes.
So, I suppose we should just get into what's wrong with NBA 2K18. And, at its basic level, it's a free-to-play game that's being charged
$60.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is, as Jim Sterling called it, fee to pay, but it's like way more of that than most games have dared to be.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's literally a free-to-play ecosystem built into a premium game system.
Like, don't they actually have timers and shit?
I'm not sure if they have timers, but it's the old everything is so expensive that you either have to grind.
That's
for
what
hours,
I was thinking
hours,
of, yeah. Super intense
hours,
grinding.
Yeah, you have to grind beyond the pale of all sanity, or you do what they want you to do, and you spend real money for all of the shit to unlock.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And this isn't additional content. This is stuff that came with the game.
right? And it's everything. It's it's the experience points. It's the cosmetic features. It's probably other modes. Just everything is locked. Everything is behind a paywall.
Even your character starts out as literal garbage, and you
Mhm.
have to pay basically 2K extra money to make your character not suck in a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
Mhm.
It's the ultimate extension of the shit that used to be free. Say the PlayStation 2 era is now all carved up and delivered to you piecemeal. It's the the logical nightmare of microtransactions. And yeah, it hasn't been going down well. Although, one thing I don't agree with, like the Jim Sterlings on the world, is blaming it all on the publisher. The fucking audience has to take its share of the fucking blame, because you know what? They buy into this. Call it the Skinner box mechanic as well, but it's they keep getting away with this because a good portion of the user base, shrugs its shoulders and pays the monies.
Even when it involves paying twice for a mustache and matching hair.
Right. So they are to blame for this. I get that they're being manipulated, but I'm like, I can't call them completely faultless.
Yeah, because apparently they started doing this shit last year.
From what I heard, it's actually been, the whole currency scheme goes back a few years, but it really started to ramp up last year, and now we got this mess.
Yeah, they could have just, not bought it last year when they heard about this stuff.
Yeah.
And
But that would involve not buying the virtual component of the sport that is a religion in some states.
You're thinking of another sport.
Oh, right, it's college basketball that's a religion in some states.
Once
no one
again,
cares about the NBA.
No, people care about the NBA, but the religion thing is more football.
I know.
College
Yep.
So, like the NBA, not quite on that level, I don't think. But anyway, the point of order is, and unlike other sports, there's actual competition in the NBA world. Like,
yeah, it's not completely locked up like Madden did.
Yeah, Madden or FIFA. Although even FIFA has its, Project Evolution Soccer to challenge it, and baseball is a weird situation because, well, from what I understand, outside of the show, the MLB kind of priced themselves out of the market. Like, nobody wants to pay for the fees that they do, that the MLB wants for the baseball license. Especially after 2K went in very expensively with the exclusivity deal that so did not work out for them. But tangents aside, you do have another choice in terms of basketball games. and I don't like I don't know how this is all going to play out, because people are pissed, but the question is, how many people are really pissed?
Yeah, are they pissed, or are they actually not buying the game, or whatever pissed? Because there's one of those that the companies care about.
Right. It's like, are you a vocal minority? Are you somebody who's just whining and still supporting this? Or if it's too late and you already bought it, are you going to boycott the next release? That kind of deal. That's the shit that actually matters to the publishers.
Yeah, because like if you bought it through PSN and Xbox Live, you can't return it here in the U.S. You're literally stuck with it.
Right. It's like, now if they offered a refund for it and all that stuff, that means, like, if there's an actual digital refund for this game, that means so many people got so fed up with this that they had to do that. Which means it was a very significant amount of people getting mad at the state of this game. Now, but yeah, ultimately, I am not one to excuse the audience for buying into this literally. Like, it's kind of like with cheat codes. Like people paying for cheats and people paying for all this shit. Guess what? People actually like paying for that convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why shit keeps being perpetuated. Now, it's kind of, it's kind of why I find the whole "it's all on the publisher" a bit simplistic, because and I guess you could argue manipulation, and that there's certainly that factor going into the whole mobile market, free to play atmosphere. The Skinner box mechanism, and that's what this is. But it's like, the difference being is, like, you didn't pay for entry into a mobile game,
or
if you did,
much.
yeah, or if you did, it was like $5.
Well, it depends on the mobile game.
Yeah.
There's predatory free to play games out there. Like, it got especially a few years ago when it got into the children's arena, had people getting like thousands of dollars in charges from these things. But that's another story. Now, in terms of NBA 2K18, it's the current symbol of current trends that are flowing through the video game industry. However you want to define them, game as service, game as platform, that kind of thing. But it's more, $60 is just the entry fee, and I'm pretty I wouldn't be surprised if NBA 2K18 also has like a season pass.
It does.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
For what? More options that you have to pay for separately?
Let's find out.
Yeah. The power of Google.
Yeah. Well, and keep in mind, this is just the base edition. You can, another thing is you can buy the Legend Gold Edition or the Legend Edition, and you get, more virtual currency. It's got the same, free to play purchasing pack bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's like, it's getting torn apart on Steam.
I'd imagine. Especially because this Steam version looks like ass, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, I'm like, well, the game looks fucking terrible.
I think the review that you showed us was from the PC version. I don't remember seeing much on the console
apparently it's across the board. Like this game, like, I don't know if they I honestly don't know what went on here.
Yeah, looking at the Legendary Edition, it gives you 4-day early access, which is useless to you now. 100,000 in virtual currency, 20 My Team packs, which I guess is like some sort of card thing. I'm not really sure on that. A Shaquille O'Neal jersey, a pair of Shaquille O'Neal shoes, and a championship ring for your character to wear in game.
Lovely. That
Yep.
sounds like it's worth $150.
Well, right now it's $100 at least for PS4, but that's still not worth it.
Yeah, that's still $100 for a fucking game.
Oh, and I guess it comes with physical poster, stickers, and some sort of trading cards. But that's only if you buy it at like GameStop or something like that. If you buy the download version, you get nothing but the digital stuff.
Yeah,
Even if you like get the download code from GameStop.
Yeah. So compounding matters is, well, the other brouhaha that happened around this game, and that's involving the site The Sixth Axis, who basically formulated a protest review. They actually took into account, all of the free-to-play bullshit that's going on here, and said, no, this is fucking terrible. And 2K allegedly pressured the site to get it to take down the review score, because that actually went into Metacritic.
Yeah, and this is, I guess we should mention this is all alleged stuff. We don't have anything confirmed from either party.
Yeah. And we're probably never going to get confirmation.
Confirming things isn't always good business.
Okay,
Yeah,
on PSN, it looks like there isn't a season pass for this game, but yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, apparently the biggest failing isn't even the terrible graphics. This is
yeah, it's not when one of the main ways that they're trying to improve sports games nowadays is it looks even more like you're really there. This game is not very high on the really there chart.
Well, it's from what I've seen, the actual in-game, like the actual playing of basketball, looks fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But everything outside of that, oh god, it looks like PS2 era at best.
Yeah, I'm especially bad is the street zone. This looks like a flat out Dreamcast era or something like that. But apparently the worst feature is all the bugs. And this, from what I've read, this actually also applies to the Nintendo Switch version. Nintendo Life refused to give a score on the game because they encountered so many bugs, especially in that story mode.
I think there were reports of players popping up from the ground and shit like that.
Yeah, it's rules not working, and the longer you went through, the more bugs showed up. A hideous level of a hideous lack of QA.
Are people really objecting to NBA 2K18 and Goblins with players popping up from the ground?
It makes it hard. The ultimate hard mode.
Probably. But yeah, it's just a hot mess. Like I said, I hope we've been able to convey just how much of a hot mess the whole endeavor is. From being unpolished to the bugs and the ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's a terrible game.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know, is it just me, but it seems to me like in sports games, polish is really important because it's one of the most things that there is.
Yeah, literally all you're getting is a fresh coat of paint every year.
I mean, it's not like they're going to change the rules to the sports in the game that much.
It depends. Like some, I think the recent NFL Madden game does reflect this year's rules, but the other ones aren't updated because they don't get any more money that way.
No, and you know, that argument goes all the way back, like, geez, ever since I guess sports games went yearly, which we're talking like the Genesis era. But it's not actually true. Like, there are differences year to year, because it's if it were that easy, it wouldn't take so much effort to make a new version of a game. Like, they don't literally take last year's game and slap a new coat of paint on it, unless we're talking like legacy versions, like like the recent versions of like FIFA and Madden appearing on like the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that are treated with the lazy effort because, well, that's not their focus. They're just doing that because of the install base that's still lingering on those consoles. And that was actually a big fear about the Switch versions of some of these sports games. That they would bring last year's game with the updated roster to that platform. In fact, that's what happened with FIFA 13, I believe, for the Wii U. It was like FIFA 12 with updated rosters.
Something like that.
So, but yeah, it's like, and this like NBA 2K18 is definitely a new version of this. I mean, shit. One of the most prominent screenshots is the whole currency system, which really does look like it's out of a mobile game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's got the same mobile tabulations and everything, with the same, pay amount, pay this amount of money to get this amount of virtual currency.
Yeah, and isn't it something like $400 or whatever to get your character decently spec'd in a reasonable amount of time?
Wouldn't surprise me. I'm like, and also the whole VC currency is actually a play off of the developer Visual Concepts. It's in the initials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think Sterling kind of missed the joke there, or the reference.
Well, I say that's allowed, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just noting it. Like, if it was called virtual currency, it was because of the developers' initials. Is what I'm getting at. But anyway, that's a minor point. But yeah, it's like you basically have a game here that you have to invest literally hundreds of dollars in order to play properly, and it isn't a surprise that people are going volcanic over this. But the question is it enough? That's the really big push here. Like, because if it's just a vocal minority, guess what? Guess what next year's edition is going to look like? It's going to look like the same damn thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, a vocal minority can only do so much.
Yeah, there might have some bug fix. Yeah, there might be some bug.
There has to be an actual loss of financial gain here before they're going to change their ways. Mm-hmm. Calling them ornery scumfucks is one thing, but that doesn't really change anything. Because, yeah, it's like, they're more worried about, look at Take-Two. They were worried that negative score was going to affect things. Mm-hmm. So, basically what I'm getting at is, hopefully next year's version isn't, this.
Literally anything but this.
Or, guess what? It could get worse.
That is
because And I know you might be wondering, how could it get worse? Well, 2 words: loot boxes. You know, they might find a
Where you
way
can
to.
no longer actually just buy the thing you want. Like you no longer just choose a particular haircut. You have to randomly have the haircut you want drop, and then you can buy it.
And don't put it past them that they wouldn't try this either.
Mm.
No, or they could boost the pre-order bonuses to, well, Assassin's Creed level.
Oh God.
Like I said, believe it or not, this game has not run the gamut of all of the shitty publisher tricks yet. And the fact that I can point that out scares me greatly.
Do you like Michael Jordan? Hope you pre-ordered from Amazon Canada.
Right. It's like, or if you wanted, I don't know, LeBron James. Hope you got it from Target.
Larry Bird's your guy. Hope you got it from Best Buy.
Yeah. That's the real sad part here. What we're talking about here not only is feasible, it's been done.
Mm-hmm.
It's been done by other games, just not by this franchise yet. But like I said, there's still room for disimprovement. And, be very, very wary about that. It's like, now, is there anything else we need to explore with this particular topic?
I mean, other than the fact that the Switch version needs a micro SD card if you want to download it, but it's like, eh?
Well, yeah, the Switch version is odd.
The Switch does not have a ton of internal memory, is why.
No, but this is a very large game. Like, the save file alone is about 5 gigs.
Something like that.
People are pointing out...
And my opinion on that is at least you need a micro SD and not a proprietary Sony shit stick that costs twice as much.
Yeah. I remember when I had to get my Memory Stick Pro for my PSP.
That is the main reason why I do not own a PlayStation Vita.
Yeah, like right now, at least PSP memory sticks have third party, so you can get a 64 gig one for like 20. But yeah, looking at the Vita, it's still astronomical what they want.
Mm-hmm. There have literally been times when I was going at the store and I said, "Oh, the Vita's on sale. Hey, that's actually kind of a reasonable price." And there are a few games on the Vita I'd like to see, but if I got that, I'd have to buy a memory card, and those are how much?
Yeah, honestly, if you have a spare TV, your best bet is to look for a PlayStation TV.
Yeah. And people are wondering why the download is so big. I couldn't exactly tell you, but like Mario Party being, not Mario Party, Mario Odyssey being, 4.7 gigs or something like that. Different games are built differently. And sports games have always been kind of space vacuums. Like, going back in the days of the memory card, saving for a sports game would eat up a memory card. So it absolutely does not surprise me that NBA 2K18 is a voracious monster eating up memory space. Especially since there's quite a lot of modes here and shit like that. And, probably audio.
I don't care how terribly low resolution your textures are. The models take up a certain amount.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially if you have each NBA player currently on the roster modeled.
And here's the secret Space Eater sound.
Oh God, yes.
Oh yeah, voice clips for, and then insert player name here. Got a great insert thing here while playing against insert team here.
Right. Especially if it's uncompressed. Oh God, that'll eat up a lot of space.
Yeah.
And some of the I believe these games usually have like licensed announcer voices, so.
And it has licensed music as well, as you'd expect from an NBA game. It's like, so there's a lot of reasons why NBA 2K18 would be so big on the Switch. Like, and you know, and I think I'm about ready to move on because this is just getting depressing.
Yeah.
To suffice to say, we'd rather not talk about this topic next year.
Yes. Anyway, Petty Fan, play us to the next segment. Like, good timing. Stop not. Anyway, so now we're going to be, completely flipping the tables. I'm like, it's almost like diametric opposition here. Instead of
Cough,
talking
cough, why we have transition music, cough, cough.
Yes, instead of talking about a modern sports game, we're talking about a classic tabletop series and its video game adaptation, or its main video game adaptation. So we're going to be talking about Mech Warrior, which is actually a subset of a larger series called BattleTech.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually talked about this topic before, or at least BattleTech, in the sense that we literally had the inventor of the game and the universe on our program a few years ago. And hopefully we'll have them back in 2018 when the latest BattleTech game gets released. But that BattleTech game is not what we're talking about here, because Mech Warrior, this actually wasn't an adaptation of like the full BattleTech rules and universe into a digital landscape. A hex-based strategy game.
Yeah, it's a tactical board game. It's a tactical tabletop game, in the original form.
And indeed, BattleTech certainly saw a number of those kind of adaptations. In fact, like the first BattleTech game was BattleTech: The Crescent Hawk's Inception, which was actually closer, like, was it a third person? It wasn't a strategy game, but it certainly wasn't Mech Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's been like decades since I actually played that game. But Mech Warrior is a first-person, well, I guess for lack of term, shooter. It's not I'm not sure if you would actually call it an FPS. But this is more about the micro battle, in the sense that you are a person who fights on the battlefield in a mech and you fight other mechs. You're not really worried about the grand strategy applications here. And
because piloting giant robots is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we make a game about that?
Well, that's
a cool part of the setting. Why don't we?
But it also incorporates the BattleTech rules into its design. Here's a hint: we over here in the West tend to treat mechs very differently than what they do in Japan and anime and all that shit.
Right. Yeah. Well, BattleTech especially, they're treated within a reasonable amount of verisimilitude like tanks, in that there are a lot of technical aspects to them, and you're not going to see super robot shenanigans so much.
Not even real robot shenanigans. It's more. If I had to equate it to an anime, something like Pat Labor. I'm like, where these are actual tools that you have to maintain, and heat. Heat signatures are a big part of BattleTech.
Heat signatures and heat tolerance, without which your thing starts having problems.
Right. You actually have to pay attention, or else you're going to overheat, and that means bad things for your vehicle. fat chance that's going to happen in a super robot show.
Unless they specifically use that in a gimmick, and even then, it'll only happen when it's extremely plot relevant for it to happen.
Right.
Like when the hero needs to be taken down a peg.
Right. Now, mind you, it's still not treating mechs as they are if they were actual machines, because mechs like this couldn't actually exist in real life. Like there are several reasons why mechs don't actually exist. They're very
for one thing is just it's bad design for real life combat, because in real life a lot of effort is put into giving combat vehicles the lowest profile possible so that they are the smallest target possible. That does not happen when you're riding in like this signature mech, and a lot of these things looks kind of like the nose of a bomber with like two really big old chicken legs on either side.
Right. And let's be honest, and the mech designs themselves tend to be, well, really impractical. How do I put this? Surface tension.
Yeah, some of them have kind of small legs, or
like a lot of these mechs would actually sink into the ground.
Yeah.
So while Mech Warrior / BattleTech, treats these like actual vehicles, that it's hard science versus soft science, or straight out fantasy, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, there are different parts of it that are realistic. That doesn't mean the whole thing is.
Yeah, and the Mech Warrior games not only have you doing the fighting on the battlefield, but you are maintaining your mech, you're switching out parts, you're hiring other people, and so on and so forth. That is a big part of this series as well. And perhaps the most famous Mech Warrior game is the second one. Like, it was certainly, I don't know how popular like Mech Warrior 3 or Mech Warrior 4, but Mech Warrior 2 legitimately was a multi-million seller. Big hit for Activision. In fact, I believe Bobby Kotick has said that Activision managed to double in size just on the sales of this one game.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's like Mech Warrior 2 was absolutely huge back in the mid 90s. Admittedly, I don't think I've ever played the computer version. I played it a bit on the Sony PlayStation, and yeah, it was bad. Like, it's not surprising that a mid 90s PC port to a PlayStation console ended up not being good. Especially something as in Mech Warrior 2 was a graphical showcase of the time. I think the Digital Foundry has a video on like just how many, not so much iterations, but Mech Warrior 2 came out at a time of competing graphics cards and when 3D acceleration was starting to take off. Like, it was one of the first games to really show off what 3D graphics acceleration could do. Like even before Quake did. And of course, it was during that time when DOS and Windows were still, the transitioning. So you had DOS version, Windows version, what have you. Anyway, and perhaps like the most popular part of Mech Warrior 2 was Mech Warrior 2 Mercenaries. Popular enough to get another iteration in the Mech Warrior. Like, there's a Mech Warrior 2 Mercenaries and there's a Mech Warrior 4 Mercenaries. And in fact, there is the next installment of the Mech Warrior series is going to be Mech Warrior 5 Mercenaries.
As opposed to like the guys who actually just work for one country.
Right. Well, yeah, it's like you're usually playing like a prince or something of the inner sphere or what have you.
Because there's an enormous, huge space opera background behind all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, I guess what this series took influence from. Hint: Macross, Robotech.
They literally even borrowed mech designs from several things.
Yeah,
including Macross.
Which are now called the Unseen, because Harmony Gold sued their asses, and
in spite of their recently legally decided lack of actual right to do so.
Oh no. This goes back to the 90s.
Oh no, it's just now they still are less used and have been for a long time. No, it's just there was no actual legal justification for it. It turns out.
I'm not sure about that case. I don't, because we're actually talking about separate lawsuits. There's the Harebrained Scheme. There's the Harmony Gold versus Harebrained Schemes, and then there's the Tatsunoko Productions versus Harmony Gold lawsuits. The Harebrained Schemes one was filed a couple months ago, and I haven't seen any updates on that recently.
I thought it was pretty decided that they don't actually have any right to the designs themselves.
I'd have to look up what was if there was an end result there. But I mean, back in the 90s, that was definitely not the case.
Well, to be fair, this is also a company that's been trying to go after Sunrise. You know, the people who make Gundam.
Yep.
I don't even know where to begin with that.
Laugh hysterically.
Yes.
Anyway, the important thing is we're not just talking about Macross here.
No.
I'm pretty sure we'd summon Mac at that point.
Yeah. Anyway, with MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, less of a space opera thing and more, how do I put this? Like championship manager? I'm like, going back to like sports games, it's like general manager mode or something like that, because you're not just taking missions. You have to take care of your finances. You have to actually manage the money and shit like that. You're actually the manager, the boss, the financial wizard of the team.
Right, because you don't have a government that's paying for your giant robots, and giant robots are expensive.
Right.
And this isn't just throw money at your mech. Are there other aspects of money to deal with, or is it just mech?
I'm not actually sure about that. I'm like
you have to deal with like food as well, or fuel, or.
It's like, and I'll also note, this being not the only version, that's something that could have been interesting. MechWarrior 4 Mercenaries. Let's see. Players take contracts from one of four factions: the Draconius Combine, the Federated Commonwealth, the Comstar, and the Free Rasselhag Republic. Generally, the background plot is of the Draconis Combine and the Federated Commonwealth making initial moves towards yet another war between the two great powers, with the FRR and CS trying to play off both against the middle. So on and so forth. Missions include helping and crushing uprisings, generally deep recon and raids, anti-pirate campaigns, and even fights against merc mutants. The player can attempt to win the crown of Champion of Solaris in the Battle Mech games.
Yeah, don't get those confused.
Yeah, it's like the actual mechs are called Battle Mechs. Inside massive enclosed arenas, these missions proved to be so popular they were brought back in MechWarrior 4 Mercenaries. Like, not really seeing it. If you have to deal with like the overall financials here, like, and if that's something that hasn't appeared, maybe in the new one, because that does feel like part of the mercenary thing. Hiring people, dealing with salaries. Just go full on Football Manager. Although actually have gameplay as well. That may be a tall order. Now I think about it. But yeah, MechWarrior has proven to be popular. Um, there, there was some disputes. I'm trying to remember because MechWarrior 3 ended up at a new publisher. I think it flowed from the Mech Commander series because Mech Commander was made by Microprose, and they had the license to that, and I guess they picked up the Mech Warrior license as well. I'm a bit foggy. It's been a few years since we interviewed Jordan, so I'm a bit foggy on all this. But Mech Warrior ended up at Hasbro for a bit of a stint, and then the Microsoft buyout of FASA happened, or at least the FASA Interactive portion, because
that's how the corporation do.
well, yeah, because the rights to BattleTech are actually owned half by Microsoft and half by Topps,
who you might know from trading cards.
Yeah, and thankfully Microsoft is actually pretty loose when it comes to IP, like surprisingly so, or at least these days. Because we are getting new Shadowrun games. We're getting a new BattleTech game, new Mech Warrior game. Granted, we're probably not going to see those on, say, the PlayStation anytime soon. But maybe we will, because I don't know, Minecraft is a thing on the PlayStation. But then again, that could be a special exception. Still, it's good that Mech Warrior and the whole FASA universe, maybe not the whole FASA universe, because Crimson Skies is yet to make a return. But this franchise isn't being left in the dust.
Yeah.
And the new version is being developed by Piranha Games, not to be confused with Piranha Bytes. I think we're actually working on a previous version of MechWarrior, or maybe anyway, Piranha Bytes. They're a German developer of RPGs. These guys are a Canadian video game developer. Looks like they've done a whole bunch of work for hire stuff. And they also did the Mech Warrior Online, which is a thing that I have not played.
Mm-hmm.
Now, admittedly, BattleTech, my interactions with Mech Warrior and BattleTech are kind of limited. I have actually played the tabletop game, like back in the 90s. I had fun with it. It's just tabletop gaming is expensive.
Oh yeah, even a game like this. One of the differences between this game and a lot of other tabletop strategy games is that the company that did this is not primarily a model selling company. So they allow you to use proxies and stuff, but still making good models is expensive, even if they're not all monopolized.
Yeah, and this is one of those games where you need models because movements and aiming and all that stuff, they're all factors in combat.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need, especially since shit, I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, I knew somebody who was really into tabletop games in high school, which is why I played quite a bit of not just BattleTech, but Warhammer. Holy shit, this Warhammer collection, like Warhammer 40K especially. Even had some Palladium stuff. Although I don't think he had any figures.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, anyway, anything else we want to say about Mech Warrior?
I don't have as much to say as I'd like to because I never actually played the video games of this.
Yeah.
I just mostly follow it of interest as a fan of mechs in general, and the setting is kind of interesting, even though I don't know a ton about it.
Yeah, I'm like, admittedly, this isn't the most polished topic we've had in discussions, but we needed something for this week, and it just came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that'll about do it. That'll about do it for this week. We are ending a bit early, but that kind of happens when we have the double topic weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So, at any rate, the week ahead. Let's see. Do we want to do MSP first or not?
Well, MSP right now, like this week, what exactly are we doing?
We're doing introducing Kevin, unless you managed to come up with a guest in the last 20 minutes.
I could not, so I didn't know if like we're actually doing MSP or
It's introducing Kevin and/or pilot episode of Last News Desk.
yeah, we'll figure it out. I hope.
So that's MSP. Right.
That's MSP every week. Let's be clear here.
Well, hopefully next week we have a clearer vision.
Mm-hmm.
Though that's up to you. So.
Yeah.
Or Mac,
I do have a guest I'm working on, but
okay. The point is somebody is in charge of that. That isn't
Right.
me. So anyway, the week ahead. This week for reviews, we have Hob, the latest endeavor from our good friends at Runic Games. I've put about 6 hours into this, and it's really good so far. Like, it is really different from their previous work. If you don't remember, they are the ones who made the Torchlight games, which were, games basically Diablo. This is much more like Zelda. And I'm really enjoying it so far. Like it, honestly, it's already become one of my favorite games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
More on that on Sunday. The other game is Arrowheads. This is a multiplayer-focused archery kill the waves. It's not a tower defense game. I'm not exactly sure what to call the genre. It's a third-person shooter with a very limited view.
Shooting gallery.
Sort of. You're not actually. You're actually killing things that move, so it's not a shooting gallery either.
I mean, you can kill things that move in a shooting gallery.
Well, I mean, they're actual enemies, like that attack you and shit. It's sort of like a tower defense game, just lacking the tower defense elements. Like, you'll see it when we play it on Friday.
No, I know what you mean. I just don't know how to describe it either.
It's a game that'll be better presented visually than talking about it. That's what I'm getting at. And next week, we do have 2 interviews. On Tuesday, October 3rd, we'll be having Kai from Frozen Byte back again. We're going to be talking about 9 Parchments, their upcoming game for all consoles, I think. I know special attention has been given to the Nintendo Switch version, but I do think... let me just make sure on platforms here. Wikipedia doesn't have it listed yet. So, oh well.
Must be really new, or really obscure.
No, it's fairly new. There it is. Yeah, it's coming to the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Microsoft Windows, and Nintendo Switch. It's like it's a multiplayer-focused third-person action game, from what I've seen. More on that next week. And as mentioned at the top of the show, our next Wednesday program is going to have Cyrus Wesson of Bandai Namco Games. This is going to be our third rep from Bandai Namco on the program. He is in charge of Project Cars 2, which we're going to be talking about primarily. I'm sure we're going to be talking about other games, but that's going to be the focus. And he is actually going to be he's tentatively stated to come back in November to talk about Dot Hack GU Last Order, whatever they're calling the remake. Like,
Mm-hmm.
until MSP and whatever the hell we end up doing there, I wish you good gaming.